Welcome, everyone, to Career Happy Hour. I'm Andrew Beach, Executive Coach. I'm a teacher of self-education. I help professionals just like you communicate value to find great opportunity faster, whether you're working or not. That's through a pragmatic process of coaching you through branding, planning, and effective networking. If that's something you have interest in, improving, upskilling in that capacity, then I'm your guy. You should reach out to me outside of this session, which I don't do that for that purpose, but certainly if you're open to it, so am I. And part of today's session, 3 o'clock Pacific time every Friday, is just an opportunity for me to give back to the community that's helped me so much and to say thank you by providing you with support. Part of that support includes me answering any questions that you have. If you have questions, I want you to put those in the comment chat box, whatever you call it there, where you can type things in and ask questions. If you don't want it to be public, then there is an alternative there. You can actually come into the live coaching room. You don't have to come on and do live coaching, although it hasn't hurt the people that have taken advantage of it. It's probably helped them. So if you want to, you can come into the green room here. There's a private chat. You can put your question in there. That way, nobody will ever know that you asked that question. You could just say, hey, my name is anonymous. Here's my question. That would work just fine for me. Also, if you want to help out this community, which is why we exist, Career Happy Hour exists to support the success of the membership, then please share this broadcast with someone you know. You could do that in a private message. You don't have to make it public. You could post it to your favorite social channel, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. In fact, we broadcast on many different platforms, and you will get a little bit of reach based on that. Good to see you, Terry. Welcome to Cocktail Hour, as you would call it. And Terry is a good supporter of our efforts here, and I thank him for that. If you want, go ahead and put your LinkedIn profile in the chat. It doesn't matter what platform you're on, whether that's LinkedIn, YouTube. I think I'm on Facebook and also Twitter. So we're covering all the channels there. If you want to, put your LinkedIn, specifically your LinkedIn handle in that space so that you can signal to people that you're open to being connected with and have a conversation. And the purpose of that would be for mutual benefit, for facilitating the career progression in some capacity of the membership of Career Happy Hour here every Friday, 3 o'clock Pacific time. Good to see everyone. Excellent. Good to see you, Terry, as well. I have a lot to, not a lot to share, but certainly one of the things on my mind right now, and has been since probably the beginning of October, is the fourth quarter push. The fourth quarter push is something that a lot of people go heads down on in order to finish the year strong. So you have eight weeks. You currently have 8 weeks to make a difference in your career, in your life. And that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But that said, if you do have some specific questions about your career, whether that's interviewing, market planning, professional communications, how to network well, how to use LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn for a long time, and it would be good for us all to have a little better impression on LinkedIn. And you might be wondering why I have the flags in the background. Well, this next week, we celebrate something near and dear to me, and that is Veterans Day. And certainly it's an opportunity for you to recognize and perhaps do what you can to pay back those veterans that have secured your freedoms. I feel pretty strongly about that we should give back to those that help us. And that might be through the military. It might be through other methods. But the idea here is we want to give back to people that have given so much and potentially sacrificed everything. Sacrifice is a demonstration of love and affection for others. So if you feel so inclined, you could certainly reach out to someone you know is a veteran and just thank them for their service. See what you can do. Have maybe a lunch or a coffee chat with them. But that's what the flags are for, if you're curious. But that said, the topic of today's session I just came up with beforehand, and that is, hey, your career future depends on the next 8 weeks. And I think that, for me, that's more, it's not like, oh, it's not like life or death. It's a way to internally motivate yourself. I'm not here to motivate anybody. I'm certainly here to help hold you accountable. You have to motivate yourselves to a certain extent. And part of that is deciding, what do I want to accomplish over the next 8 weeks that we have left here in 2021. Hard to believe, we're coming on 2 years in the pandemic era, and it almost seems to be going by faster. Looking back, it seems like it's going slower because many of us still work from home or isolated in some ways, and we were hoping by now things would be normal. And what we're identifying is a new normal. I saw it published just the other day that, at least in our area, Intel, a company that employs a lot of people, has made a pretty strong commitment to hybrid work or work from home. They're going to go forward with the rest of their employment populace to do some sort of hybrid or work from home model. And they're instituting that now. Of course, there are certain professions that aren't capable of doing that, like manufacturing, but certainly that is a big commitment from a local employer, at least that I've noticed, that has said that this is what we're going to do. Hey, Henry, thank you for putting that in the chat. Appreciate that. Welcome. Good to see you. Terry, as always, good to see you. Holidays are coming too, so that's the other part of it. Holidays, people generally speaking are in a better mood. Generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, people are more available, more accessible. They tend to, maybe some folks aren't working as hard. I know people in sales and maybe finance or accounting are working really hard because they want to finish the year strong, but that's not true of every profession. They might be planning actually for Q1 2022. And the connections you make now might actually influence your opportunities in first quarter, January, February 2022. So that said, I guess the question I would have for you is, what do you want to accomplish between now and the end of the year? And I'll give you some thoughts, some ideas, things that you can do. The first thing that I often encourage people to do is set an appointment with yourself. Set an appointment with yourself. And of course, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, any kind of 5-year plan. Some might call it a marketing plan or a life plan, whatever that plan looks like, things that you're good at and want to accomplish, or some sort of trajectory for your career, whatever that looks like. Sit down with your plan and perhaps decide, what are you going to do between now and the end of the year to improve your resume, improve your LinkedIn profile, improve on your plan, and then allow that to do the next thing on my list here. And that is to identify people in your network, individuals that you already know. So this isn't like reaching out to strangers, not that there's anything wrong with that. It's likely many of us already have a pool of people that we would call friends or colleagues, strong connections. I don't know what you would call it, but there's a group of people that maybe you haven't talked to in a while and that were maybe instrumental in where you are now. Is there anyone like that you can think of? Who are the individuals that maybe have gone cold, and could you make a commitment to reconnect with a handful of those folks? How many would that be? Well, 8 weeks. How about one person a week? How about 8 people? Could you connect with, have a conversation with 8 people that have gone cold? Now, that's something that you would need to be proactive in. And one of the things that has kind of prompted me to talk through this topic actually is I'm reading a new book called The 12-Week Year. And so I don't know if any of you are familiar with this book, but it's kind of changed my thinking. And I've read a lot of books on time management and goal setting and all these different things. But I'm always, how should I say it? I always like people that have a pragmatic approach to execution. And that's what I like about this book so far, is it's a pragmatic approach to execution, just like many of the books I've read on networking. It's a lot of reasons why you should network and why it works and that you should do it. I think we all know that, but there's very few books that are pragmatic in execution. And that's what I consider myself. I consider myself a pragmatist. I want to have a way to actually implement some of the concepts that are in this book. Now, if you want to go through this with me, you can. My intention is to have the book completed by the end of the week so that I can take advantage of some of the tools and resources that they have for free inside of here. In fact, we could maybe do a book club. We did that before with the networking book, and I could read through, I don't know how many chapters are in here. Let me take a peek at the table of contents and see, because we could do a chapter a week or a couple chapters a week. Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's 21 chapters. You know, I'm pretty much through the first 11 chapters, so it shouldn't take me too long to get this complete. But there's a lot of resources in online trainings. If you're into that and want to get the book and we could go through it together, I'm more than happy to have that be something that happens. So 8 people, 1 person a week. Would you be willing to do that? Just reconnect with someone who's gone cold based on what you want to accomplish in 2022. Who would be the people you just want to reconnect with and reestablish some sort of relationship? The second thing is the next 8 weeks are going to provide you a lot of opportunities to volunteer, give back, donate. Whatever you want to do with that is certainly up to you. I would focus in on something that matters to you. So for me, that might be a veteran thing or a homeless thing or a food pantry. Those are all things that delivering turkeys to families in need on Thanksgiving, that sort of thing, is something that I can do. So sometimes we think, oh, well, there's nothing I can do, or I'm limited in some way. Sometimes it's just volunteering your time. Many of us have the time. We just need to make the time and prioritize that in some way to give back. So what is it you would commit to doing in the next 8 weeks, knowing that your career future depends on the next 8 weeks? And volunteering could be part of that. It could be that you, through your volunteering, meet a person that's in a capacity to help you, and you now have a new networking connection. It's a great way to find opportunity and also get some self-gratification. It's also not too late, or excuse me, not too early. It's not too early to start setting goals for Q1 2022. And that's a nice thing about the 12-week year is they intend to, or at least the premise is you would consider a week a month, right? So instead of planning for 12 months, we plan for 12 weeks. And that means that the first 12 weeks of 2022 are something we can plan for now. And once we hit first quarter, we could start the 12-week plan. Or, once you put the plan together, maybe you accelerate that and start that the first week of December. Many of us, many companies, at least that I've known, likely will offer potentially, if you are currently employed, they'll offer the weeks of Christmas and New Year's off. They'll say, hey, take those 2 weeks off. You're welcome to check in on your email, but we don't expect you to be doing any work. If you're in manufacturing, sometimes plants are closed down. They do preventative maintenance, whatever that looks like. So find a way to start your plan now. I mean, it may be that you accelerate those plans and don't wait for the first quarter of 2022. So what is it that you want to achieve now that you're thinking you'll put off till next year? Because guess what? I'll have my New Year's resolution. And we all know what the success rate of most New Year's resolutions are. So perhaps there's something a little more pragmatic you can do to accelerate that. Hello, Southwest Florida. Southwest Florida. I'm trying to think where that is. Southwest. Would that be like Tampa? I guess that would be West Florida. It wouldn't be Southwest. Anyway, welcome, Charlotte. Good to see you. The other part of this is if we're looking at our marketing plan, our resume, our LinkedIn profile, we might start deciding what is one skill that I would like to develop between now and the end of the year. What are some courses I can take through LinkedIn Learning or Coursera or Skillshare or any other tool out there that you would 75 south of Tampa. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. 75 miles. Got it. I don't know Florida all that well, but certainly on the radar for a place for relocation at some point, but we'll see how that works out. But I'm thinking about this one skill. What is one skill you want to develop? For me, I think it's really around the domains of industrial and organizational psychology. It's something that I've always had an interest in. I think I'm well suited for that kind of work or that kind of contribution to people and organizations. And it's just something I have interest. I've always been intrigued by why people do what they do, so that we can get better, not better results just for the organization, but better results for the individual person. Because I believe in my soul that each person is unique. They have a unique set of skills. They have a unique set of experiences. They have unique education. No two people are the same. Even, what do they say? Even identical twins don't even have the same DNA. So there's always differences even in identical twins. So no two people are the same. That means we have an opportunity now to add to our toolkit in the next 8 weeks. What are some skills, a skill? I would just pick a single skill and decide for yourself, what is it that you would like to accomplish? Human behaviors. Okay, good. Excellent. So there's first, if you're just joining, if you have any questions, please go ahead and put those in the comments wherever you're joining from. Those typically come through on the Restream dashboard here, and I can see all the chats regardless of which platform you may be joining from. And those questions could be related to resume or career planning or networking or LinkedIn, anything really that's on your mind related to our collaborations or our connection. Because many of you are first degree connections of mine here on LinkedIn. So that's part of it. Or you could come on if you would prefer to have hands-on coaching by me through video chat live right now. You can click the link in the description. I'll also put it here in the chat. Let me get that's the right link there. I'll copy that link and I'll put it over here. Let me mute that. I'll put it over here in LinkedIn. Join me live for hands-on video coaching. Okay, and I'll go ahead and put that in, and so that you can see that I'm actually in the stream itself. And then we could probably look at some news. I do like to always kind of keep touch on what's happening in the news. But if you want, again, the book is The 12-Week Year. What does that say? By Brian P. Moran and Michael, what is that, Lennington. It's published by Wiley. I think I picked it up on Amazon, 10, 12, 15 bucks, whatever it was. And I'm about, I don't know, a third of the way through it. So if you want to, you can get that book and join me in learning. So, but let's see what let's see if the news has to share with us today. U.S. jobs rebounded in October. U.S. payrolls sprang back in October, surging by more than 500,000 and pushing the unemployment rate closer to pre-COVID territory. It just goes to show you how resilient our economy here is in the United States, at least. I think it's rather astounding that even with all the limitations that we're still seeing unemployment levels at that range. Non-farm jobs totaled 531,000, a sharp acceleration from slower summer months. I mean, that's probably an indicator that companies are getting better at hiring and onboarding. Not always is it the fact that it's just people that aren't, how would you say it, aren't actually doing the hiring, right? That there isn't hiring. Oh, I see lots of job postings, but I don't see a lot of people hiring. That's because it's taking longer to hire, number one. And number two, there's attrition and what would you say? A lack of resources inside of talent acquisition teams. At least that's been my impression. If I'm incorrect on that, I'm sure Terry would correct me if I was incorrect in that capacity. Let's see, a sharp acceleration. The rate now at 4.6% compares with almost 15% when the pandemic hit nearly 2 years ago. The U.S. report also shows that labor participation remains steady as sign workers are starting to return to the market in response to hiring incentives. Now, I don't know if that's it. It could be that people were laid off. I mean, this is something I've seen, and I think Terry actually posted on that recently. I could probably go to that post, but there was an article there that, yeah, I mean, hey, when you get to the pandemic and you're freaking out and, your not sure you're going to be able to make payroll if you keep all these people, these heads on board, you'd lay them off. I mean, that's, you do a reduction in force, and that's not uncommon for a lot of organizations to do that. Well, now it's gotten to the point where, geez, I wish we wouldn't have done that, because now I have to go to the time, energy, and expense of onboarding all those heads again. So anyway, so good news. Women of childbearing age saw a slight uptick in their participation as schools and daycare centers reopened. Is that really what happened? You know, some of the people that I've collaborated with or talked to have had spouses that were forced into a position of choosing an immunization that I won't mention in exchange for keeping their job. And so they made a decision not to keep their job because they weren't going to get the immunization. So that could be that woman went back to work because their spouse isn't working. So I don't know if we can make those direct connections, but certainly, you know, opening schools and daycare would allow folks to go back to the office. That doesn't mean they aren't participating in the workforce. I know a lot of, you know, women of childbearing age that were still working. They were just working from home. So let me see here. Somebody's come into the back end here. Let me do a private chat. Hello. Do you have a question? And we'll see if we can get something going there. Wage growth across industries is the fastest since the 80s. Explosive leisure and hospitality with annual gains at 12.4. I mean, that's one industry that I think really deserved to have some kind of price gain. And so if you, let me see, you want to come on live. Let's see. Going live. No, I need to let you in from the waiting room here. So as soon as I'm done with this particular story, I'll see if I can let you in. So just hang tight. So wage growth fastest since the 80s, and yay, leisure and hospitality. I think that's one industry, or at least one domain, where they were probably well overdue for some kind of wage bump. But looks like we have somebody in the waiting room here that would like to join us. So let me stop my share, and we'll see if we can get Charlotte. Looks like Charlotte. Let me get my headphones, Charlotte. Hang tight. Okay, there we go. Hey, Charlotte, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. What can I do for you? What's on your mind?
I had a question about, I see in a lot of my, it's about LinkedIn, and I saw a bunch of folks, human resources, recruiters come into my newsfeed and clicking on a whole bunch of these things. It's great to expand my network, but now I'm starting to get solicitations for, you know, I can charge this much for personal coaching and, you know, resume write-ups and things like that. So my question is, as a novice to LinkedIn and someone who socializes distally, interacting with these folks is interesting, but is that a rabbit hole that I need to go down in this search? Is it real? Do you feel that it's worth hiring a private coach, or, you know, outside of the outsourcing agency itself? Well, I'm just curious your thoughts. It's a hot market out there, but a lot of people are looking for.
I believe that every person you meet is a conduit to 250 people you don't know. I don't believe there's any downside to talking to people. There's no obligation on your side to hire anyone. And, you know, certainly if you reached out to them and were asking for support, that would be different. Mm-hmm. So I guess use your best judgment. Now,
it's kind of hard to do that with them because you don't know where they're. I mean, it seems to be that they all seem to be soliciting for services.
Right. So okay. So how would they know that you were needing services?
Well, I'm unemployed, so I'm on LinkedIn, obviously. So that's, I think, a big.
So are 750 million other people. Mm-hmm. Right. So I don't know that we can presume that you're unemployed unless you're saying so on your profile in some capacity.
Mm-hmm. Hired, ready for hire.
Ready for hire. What is that?
Right, that's the banner that they put on your profile. It's open to recruiters who.
Okay. So someone has paid for the recruiter version of LinkedIn and they get access to that. So that's only open to people who pay for LinkedIn Recruiter. That doesn't mean that they're recruiters. You with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
So just because they pay for LinkedIn Recruiter doesn't mean they are. Anybody can get LinkedIn Recruiter.
Okay.
So that's how they get access to that information.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you can, if you feel that they're soliciting you with nefarious intent, then you can certainly decline.
Not nefarious in a sense, and I understand where you're coming from in that. But for me, I guess it's just number one, now engaging with a lot of these recruiters, and then two, is there value in paying for these services? And how do you judge if you have a successful recruiter? Like, is there any way to say, well,
Well, let's start
coach?
with what do you feel the definition of a recruiter is? And I'm not here to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. That's fine. A conduit to a potential job opportunity. Someone who is familiar with, the resources of talent and acquisition, and they're.
Okay, so would that then be a person that's employed by the company you intend to work for?
No, these are individual recruiters. It seems like to me that's.
Okay, so that would fall under the category of either retained search, and a retained search firm would be hired and have exclusive right to represent an organization for a specific job title. Is that what they are? That would be something to ask them, right?
Okay.
So feel free to ask them questions. The second type would be contingent or staffing firms, right? These organizations typically will, I'm just going to use one here locally because I know it well, and that's Nike. They have 2 or 3 strategic partners. They hire temps all the time or contractors. And so therefore, these companies may reach out to you with the same exact job posting and wanting you to go work at Nike as a project manager, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it'll sound weird and somewhat deja vu that these different companies would be presenting you the same job opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the second category, is these contingent or staffing firms.
Okay.
The third category is people saying they're recruiters, and they might be, but they're actually career coaches in disguise, right? So it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're not that that's
right
wrong, but it, if it's a career consultant, career coach, executive coach, like I am, then yeah, I mean, there's value in hiring people like that, but you have to know exactly what you're anticipating that person to do for you. So what are you hoping that a coach can do for you that you can't do on your own?
I wasn't hoping anything, to be honest with you. I had no, this is the first time for me ever encountering this type of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, a lot of things come in sheep's clothing. So as I'm starting to branch out and try to create my own brand on LinkedIn, I start expanding my network, and I start seeing a plethora of career coach. So I just, I was getting IM'd and pinged yesterday, and it's great. It's great to talk to them. I find a lot of value in that. But then when I start getting down to it, the pitch goes in, well, I'll offer you 30 days for this, and or 10 free days for that. Again, it's all well and good, and it's great. I just didn't initially go into that expecting to have so many solicitations or requests of being a career coach and paying for it and third party.
Yeah.
And
so
that's all. I wanted to find out if there was value. I have no Andrew expectations.
Right. So what I would suggest is that you make it clear to them up front that you're not intending to hire anyone. First of all. Second of all, this is a great opportunity for you to meet another person. And maybe if someone that needs what they have to offer, you're able to refer them.
Okay.
Right. It's a chance to share your branding statement or positioning statement or your elevator pitch, your whatevers, to learn about the person and how they got into coaching. Why do they like that business? Right. So I'm practicing a craft. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
And my craft is networking. And that might feel uncomfortable, but what do you have to lose with this particular person? They're more likely to answer your questions because they may anticipate that you would hire them, and there's nothing wrong with that. So think of it as an opportunity to practice your craft and be honest and upfront about it, right?
Okay.
About
right.
Whether or not you'd want to hire somebody.
Okay, sounds good.
Make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Good. So tell me, Charlotte, I don't want to put you on the spot, but what is your superpower? What is your domain of expertise?
Delivery and attention to detail. Delivery of execution and attention to detail.
Of what exactly?
Project deliverables. On time, well executed. Under promised and over delivered is kind of like my motto.
Sure.
And
so in what industries?
Biopharma, health. I like to stay within the pharma industry because at my age right now and spending, the last 2 decades in it, I don't think. I mean, if I were 10 years younger, I think I would switch industries at this point. But I don't know that that's a wise move for me. So I kind of just want to stay within the biopharma realm because it's what I know.
Okay.
And, try and wedge some type of opportunity somewhere in there with an existing organization.
Gotcha. Okay. So who's your number one target company?
I'd have to pull up my marketing plan. Last week it was Merck. This week, I'm just sitting down today. Usually on Saturday, I'll sit down and try and update that. I mean, it's hard to have one company in mind. I have like 3 different buckets of who, general ideas of what I want, but I keep getting, pardon my French, a shit ton of rejections. And it's not even so much as getting an interview at this point. It's just going online, filling out the application, providing all the information, and then I keep getting, reject, decline.
Okay.
So
what steps are you taking beyond the application?
Well, I don't know. So I try to look up to see if there's any connections. Majority of the positions that I do find, it's like a third. It says 3 RD in the LinkedIn, so I can't really connect with anybody.
Yeah, you could.
I don't know them.
It's okay. In lieu of knowing no one, it's okay to go direct. I would, absolutely.
So I have tried that a few times too. So just to giving you my experience, my user experience here, I have tried that as well. I have reached out to a few people currently at my old job, and I say to them, hey, I was looking online and I saw a job description and I saw somebody that you're connected with. Can I use you? Absolutely. And I write an email or write an IM, I introduce myself, and I hear radio silence.
Okay.
Nothing. So when the person doesn't even bother accepting, and that's fine, that's okay, but.
Okay. So here's what I would suggest. I have a couple of resources on my website that I would encourage you to take a peek at. Do you know I did a podcast? I think we have like 60, 70 episodes. And the whole premise of the podcast is networking.
Okay.
So if you look up Job Seekers Radio, you will find a bunch of content related to networking and how to do it effectively. Because here's the challenge that most people have is they know they should be networking. They just don't know how, or they don't know how to get the best results. And so sometimes when we reach out to people we don't know and demand or have a demand or interest in employment, it might work. More often than not, it won't, because we're looking at demanding something from them when we don't have any kind of a relationship.
So how do you approach that?
It's a cold call. You only want to get to first base. So if you make it about your need for employment, that's important to one person. Not that it's wrong. It's just not important to the person you're trying to build a relationship with. Unless they're the person hiring for that job and they think you got the chops, if you know what I mean.
No, would you mind saying that, restating that again?
Here's the thing. If I was a hiring manager and I didn't know anybody, which is not always likely, many times hiring managers are referred people or know someone already. That's why many positions, if you apply blind or cold, you're going to get a rejection because the hiring teams already know somebody. Okay. So what does that mean? In the event that the hiring manager doesn't know anybody, and everybody else is just doing applications and nothing else, just the fact that you reach out to them and say, hi, I'm interested, that could be all it takes for you to get to the interview table. But since that's such a small portion of these kind of things, the likelihood of that happening is pretty slim. What would I advocate? I would advocate reaching out to people, whether there's an open position or not, just to have a conversation about how are they deploying certain solutions with an attention to detail in whatever projects that you're good at. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
See, now you're how would you say it? You're going into an area where you perceive they might have some pain, and you're the aspirin.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't discern, and you know how it works in medical field, right? What do they call it when you offer treatment in advance of diagnosis?
Like a prophylactic?
No, they call that malpractice.
I'm in a different zone, sorry.
That's okay. I understand. But if you offer
what do you mean malpractice?
Well, treatment before diagnosis is considered malpractice. That means when you're offering yourself as a solution, or I need a job, I have these skills, you're offering a solution before you've defined what the problem is. You may be offering a solution to something they have no need for. Mm-hmm. Did that happen when people reached out to you as career coaches and you thought they were recruiters? Yes, because they were offering something to you before they identified what your potentially what your challenge or your problem was. Okay. Fair statement?
Sure.
So my advocacy is a portion of these will be, hey, yeah, I got to do an application. Maybe that's my only way to get to the interview table. And then I look at that interview as a networking opportunity at minimum. Okay. At minimum, the best I'm going to get out of that is a networking interaction, because often they'll have someone else already in mind for that position. Internal candidate, someone they already know, solid referral. You know, you could fill in the blank with 100 reasons why, but at least you had a conversation. So that's one way to get there. The other way to get there is just to reach out to people constantly, reach out to new people through your connections and direct connect. Either way is fine. I just found that having an introduction is much more helpful. Now, in the case of your introduction, one thing you might consider doing is, hey, how well do you know this person? Ask a few questions. Hey, yeah, you can use my name. Go ahead and connect with that person. Great, I'll do that. I'll let you know what happens. Well, ask a few more questions. How well do you know this person? Right? When was the last time you talked to them? What do you think we should talk about if I reach out to them? Right? So now you're reaching out in terms of employment, and that's fine. But if you're reaching out cold to somebody, it may not land the way that you want to. So instead, I'm using this person's name and their reputation to get a conversation around something they tell me, because we know each other, hopefully, right? The person you're asking for the referral from. And then now I have an exact topic to talk to them about.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I filled in my own blanks. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. A lot of this I share on the podcast. There's also a free download on the podcast called The Anatomy of a Networking Conversation that'll kind of help you wrap your head around the thinking there. And then on my website, there is a networking checklist. So you can download that from my website. There's all kinds of free resources there for whatever you're needing.
Okay. Thank you.
So let's see. Any other questions for me, Charlotte? Was that helpful?
No, it was helpful. Yeah, I have a ton of questions, but I'll digress and let someone else respectfully ask as well.
Okay. Well, you're welcome to put those in the comments, the chat, whatever, and I'll get to those here in just a minute. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
There we go. Okay. Charlotte, everybody, you can see that's just a very nice exchange. You know, if you want to come on live, you can certainly do that. You come into the green room here and just put it in the chat. Yeah, I want to come on live. Or you say, hey, I have a confidential question. You know, in the confidential question, let me see here. I'm going to put the, yeah, there it is. Join me live for hands-on coaching. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. I have a question here. Hi, There we go. Let's see what it says. Hi, started a new job 2 weeks ago. Congratulations. That's exciting. It's just wanted to say thanks for offering these sessions. I really appreciate you offering your coaching help. You're welcome. Good luck, everyone. Yasmin. Good job, Yasmin. That's exciting. And certainly if you're okay with people reaching out to you, I would say so in the comments section there on LinkedIn, just so people know. Let's see. Question from Muhammad. Hi, Muhammad. Welcome to Career Happy Hour. I am engineering freelance writer specializing in engineering topics. So what should my tagline be? Well, that's a big question. It requires a little bit of self-reflection, and likely you need to have an understanding of what that looks like. Freelance technical engineering writer is what you do. So there is a great TED Talk out there by Simon Sinek. I think it's let me get it for you. I'll put it in the comments section. If you'll hang tight. Let's see. Yeah. I'll put that link in the comments so that you can have that. But it's a TED Talk on the golden circle. So freelance technical writing is what you do or how you do something exceptional. So what I would ask myself is, what do I bring to technical engineering writing or technical writing that other people do not have? Or why do I like that kind of work? I like it because it allows me to communicate technical things in simple language. Okay. Why do you like communicating technical things in simple language? Because these things were hard for me to understand. Well, okay. So you have a value there. Your value is, I like to help people develop understanding, whatever that looks like. My website is actually, thank you for that, Henry. My website is actually listed in the description. There should be a link, I think, to my, it's just andrewbeach.com. So my first name, my last name, andrewbeach.com, or jobseekersradio.com. So let me go back. If somebody can put that into the comments, that would probably be easiest, because my system doesn't always have access to that. But so I would say jobseekersradio.com, and let's see, andrewbeach.com. Okay. All right, folks. Excellent. So I don't see any other questions here. So that's good. I think like we've got everything. You're welcome. Was there any other questions before I go? I just recognize the time. So if you have a question, I'm happy to answer, or you can direct message me here on LinkedIn. I'm happy to answer there as well. But I'm going to sign off and wish you a happy weekend, and that you find everything you're looking for in a short period of time. And don't forget the book we're going to be working on here for the rest of the time together. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll just read a couple of chapters at a time. If you guys want to do that, it would take us 2 chapters, take us 10 weeks to do that. That's too long. So perhaps maybe we just read the book and we come prepared to participate in the book club. So take care, everybody. And we'll see you next Career Happy Hour. Bye now.